Okay, that didn't take very long. It actually took a lot longer this morning. This was a very full day, and I know for a lot of us it was a different approach to a forum and a different approach to gathering and coming together to talk about some of these theme areas today. And I know that, as I mentioned this morning, that we did draw upon Indigenous practices and traditions in order for the process of the day itself. And one of them was ethical spaces, as presented by Willie Ermine. So bringing people from diverse backgrounds together to talk about a common issue or a particular issue. Another one is ethical relationality. That's Dwayne Donald's work. He's a Cree scholar, and so within the idea of ethical relationality is putting Indigenous knowledges and peoples at the forefront of discussions. And then another idea that we had was drawing upon storytelling, and the comments from last year really did encourage us to have more highly engaged process. And so within each one of the conversation circles, as you can see, they were called conversation circles. I'm hoping there were opportunities for storytelling. And of course, there was the talking circle. In some of the groups, there was a stone that was being passed around in clockwise rotation. And all of the circles today, you moved from one circle to another in clockwise rotation. Of course, just a bit of a kinesthetic approach to the day tour. Within that walking, you get, you just get an opportunity to process what you've heard from the conversation. So within the day. Another, I think the idea of reconciliation and conciliation really does draw upon some Indigenous ideas or thoughts, and they're also thoughts that are common in people throughout the world. But it does focus on relationship building and quality relationship building, and of course, relationship building that is respectful, focused on reciprocity, renewal, restoration, and redress. As we know that it's not until we engage in some perhaps difficult conversation, engage in that conversation to actually move past to develop meaningful reconciliation with each other as people. Some of the examples in history of reconciliation of peoples would be the Six Nations in the East and the Great Law of Peace that they developed. And of course, the symbolism and behind the Two-Row Wampum Belt, which is a treaty in itself. So at this point, I would like to invite our two witnesses, or two student witnesses to begin with. We had three witnesses all together that moved from circle to circle, and so I would like to invite Cheyenne Goodwin and Marie-Eve Presper to the stage, please, and they'll share with us just some comments about significant points throughout the day.
Thank you. My name is Cheyenne Goodwin. I'm a nursing student in my fourth year. I come from Curve Lake First Nation, and I don't know what else to say for my introduction, but I'd like to share some experiences and feelings that I got from today, and that I'd like to acknowledge that kind of throughout we were able to listen to each other and kind of feel each other and what we were thinking and feeling about the Truth and Reconciliation Calls to Action and different, all the different workshops. And just to know that each of our experiences will be different through what we feel, and that's okay. And that there were a lot of areas of improvement that I think we identified, but that it may take generations to enact, but that doesn't mean that we can't do our part right now. What we can do, even if it's just talking to your neighbor, if something comes up, just saying a little something that you feel comfortable with that doesn't harm you, right? That it could help someone else in the long run. And for us to seek support from one another, for students and faculty or all the different professionals or individuals who came to, I know I appreciate it when faculty members have an open door policy where it's okay for me to come in, that I know that I'm safe to come in, and how much of a difference that can make for Indigenous students. And reach out whenever you can is another. And I'd just like to encourage everyone to continue to listen to each other. That's a lot of what we did today. We were in these circles, and I moved throughout where we heard other people's stories, and then we shared our own, and we got to know one another. And I think we found a lot of common ground with what each of us was saying, and where we think we can improve. And just making that, the change individually is what all we can do. But to look forward to the future as well. But I think that's it. Thank you.
Tanchi, hello everyone. My name is Marie-Ève Prasbert. I am Métis from Red River. And I want to thank Candace for giving me the honor of being witness today. I know it's an important job. When she first asked me, I didn't know if I was the right person for it. So I said, "Are you sure? Like me? Really?" And now that I'm up here, I'm going to be 100% honest. I'm terrified. But one thing that I've learned from today, from all the people that I've had the chance of listening to, is to not be afraid, to acknowledge your feelings. And that can be difficult, especially in the spirit of reconciliation. It can be scary to acknowledge the truth. It can be scary to move forward on both sides of the story, on the multiple sides of the story, because truth is not just a coin. It's not one side or the other. It's multifaceted. It has a limited amount of forms, because we all have our own truths, and we all have our own feelings and our own reactions to that truth. I want to also say merci, thank you to all of you who had the courage to participate in this forum today. Speaking up is not easy. A term we use in history is positionality, your position as a human being, your identity. That can be hard to acknowledge. Funny enough, identity is so tricky. But it can be difficult to feel comfortable. And a lot of people were uncomfortable today, but that's okay. It's okay to be uncomfortable, because this is a journey. I think if there was one message to take away from all the different circles, which all had different themes in a way, what happened in the past, how can we move forward, how can we heal? It's all a part of a journey, all a part of coming together, right? Mamawi Asotitan, if I'm saying it right. Asotitan, I think that's better. Let's cross this together, coming back into a path and continuing on. It's not an easy task. A lot of people who are non-Indigenous particularly, were uncomfortable, like, oh, well, you know, how do I learn, how do I include Indigenous content, or where can I learn Indigenous culture, where can I, you know, break down this barrier of separation between the two groups. And I think that's really what reconciliation is about. It's about building a relationship. And I'm using the term relationship on purpose because there's a difference between creating connections and creating a relationship. A connection can be superficial to a certain extent, right? Networking. It's very business lingo for me, at least. Whereas a relationship, you develop, there's a certain emotional, spiritual, whatever you want to call it, there's a certain connection that you feel with that person in that specific moment. And when you come from two different backgrounds or multiple different backgrounds, like me, for example, I was born in Luxembourg, but I'm Franco-Métis. I have a German passport, but I'm also Canadian. It's difficult to reconcile that in yourself, never mind with someone else who has their own idea of what you are, in what box do you fit. So I guess the big message that I got was, it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to come forward and ask questions. I have a friend, and I miss her a lot. A lot of you knew her, Laura Den and Efimov. I was going through a tough time, and she said, if it's not okay, it's not the end. And for some reason, that phrase kept coming back in my head today, just on a loop. Because reconciliation is a journey. It doesn't necessarily have an end, and sometimes it will not be fun. A lot of people expressed how, you know, they don't know how to go about reconciliation. And it's good to have these discussions, but it's also important to have action. Like our president said this morning, you know, a lot of us are impatient. We want to get there, but we also have to be patient. We have to recognize that not all of us have the same cultural knowledge. Not all of us have all the historical knowledge. There's a lot of education still to be out there. There's a lot of work. Despite where we are at today, there's still a lot of work ahead. So, merci, Chimigwich, for the truth that you brought forward and for having the courage to bring forward this truth. And I look forward to another year, and maybe at next year's forum, it'll be a new theme or the same theme, who knows, but thank you, merci.
Thank you so much. There is a lot of responsibility to witnessing, and again, there are Indigenous groups that practice witnessing. At this point, I would like to welcome Eugene R Kent, and Eugene is someone that I respect greatly. And he has experienced residential school at St. Michael's Indian Residential School at Duck Lake, and I think that was 9 years, and then Lebret for 2 years, and he's just been very active in many forums and in different ways over the years. But he is someone, again, who's been moving from circle to circle throughout the day and collecting stories and witnessing. So welcome, Eugene.
I didn't go to all of it, but I'll confess.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Nigan po ko tan tamsko aski ka na mo atan siga tigawnit. So I shared with you my First Nations name and acknowledge all of you. I was introduced with my Christian name. Holy man, you people are quiet. I want to acknowledge Norman Fleury for the prayer this morning, and acknowledge President Peter Stoichkov and all the staff, both administratively, professors, everyone that works at this university who had anything to do with this follow-up to our initial meeting several years ago. And I know Peter was going to, he shared a little bit of that history with you. But the original vision of the Reconciliation Conference that began here under the chancellorship of Blaine Fable went to Edmonton, went to Winnipeg, and it was a vision that the fourth one be in Victoria, which is where it is. And then we've given the universities permission to go wherever they want after. And the reason for that vision was 90% of the residential schools were in Western Canada. And even though the baby steps we've taken in every one of these universities that have a legacy of a walking stick that was built here at the University of Saskatchewan. And you can visit that walking stick if you happen to be in Victoria, and it'll only be there for a year. But it's important to acknowledge the follow-up that's happened internally. I'm a Saskatchewan boy, and I like bragging about our province, even though some recent actions have been shameful. So I try and blend both that pride and that shame in my travels. Not only recently, but for the past, for the reawakening that I've had in my life. And that includes the words of Cree that I just shared with you, is part of my reawakening. Because I had been brainwashed into believing I had lost my language. And it was through the support and the teaching of the elders that I've been able to get my language back. And I will not be brainwashed again. So for those of you Indigenous people who have been brainwashed into thinking you've lost your language, it's in you. You just have to make an effort to go and find it. It's part of our journeys. But this conference, I have to confess that I was supposed to go to 4 workshops, and I only went to 2 times each. So that's why I'm not an academic. I know arithmetic, but I have a hard time with math. But I specifically choose those 2, not any disrespect to the resource people that were in the others. And the first one I went to was the one on racism. Verna St. Denis, that warrior woman. And I did my own little test after both sessions. In both sessions, I asked the settler, how was the workshop? And all 4 of them said, wow, that was horrible. Man, that was awkward. Man, that was uncomfortable. And then I made a point of asking 4 Indigenous people, 2 in each group, how was the workshop? Oh, it was really good. That was right on. Good discussions, you know. So I share that with you because avoidance of all forms of racism have to be personally, systemically, institutionally, religiously checked. Every day a reset button has to be set when it comes to that. Because the reason I went to that workshop is one of the biggest barriers of furthering your education is racism. And it's important we address that behavior. We have to have the courage to address it. We have to recognize that everyone is a racist. It's an innate behavior. And I know Verna would challenge me on that comment, but I've lived it. I've lived it both as a minority, but also I've lived it as a racist. When I came out of residential school, I couldn't handle seeing settler people in positions of privilege. I was horribly violent to many. And I don't like that part of my history. But many of us, my age, who came out of the system, had the same anger. Most are passed on, some are finishing their life sentences. For me to be here is incredible. Now I want to go to the second group that I went to, is the life experiences of the students. Isn't that why we're all here? That's why I went. Not to show disrespect to the other two that I didn't go to, but I wanted to hear those life experiences. Because I have children that have graduated from here. And one of the young ladies said, she's been a student here for 7 years. I've been saying this for 7 years and I've seen no change. And I sympathize with her and totally understand the tears that she shared in regards to explaining that she went to the funeral of her grandfather, and one of the instructors asked her for a copy of the death certificate. How hurtful that is to one person is felt by all, because by her sharing that today implicates many negative behaviors as they relate to systemic, even innocent racism, because it is there, it's prevalent. And so when I listen to the students today and their vast array of feelings that they shared, it always took me back to indigenization. Indigenization, what is indigenization? It's as complicated a term as reconciliation. But I happen to know a little bit of the corporate history of this institution. And I know that this institution went through ceremony to talk about indigenization. Not only the sweat lodge, but the sun dance and horse dance, and other ceremonies that they participated in, and I want to commend the administration and the president for that process. There have been some missteps, both by my people and by people that administer the institution. And I gathered some of that today. I observed it. But like I said earlier, I'm so proud to be from Saskatchewan. I also see how far ahead we are of other institutions that do the same thing you do. But while we keep that in mind, I remember U of S was the first to do the national conference. Other universities succeeded in doing a first to do this or a first to do that. And it's right across the country. There's this competition of first to do this or first to do that as it relates to indigenization and reconciliation. From where I sit as a residential school survivor, I could care less about who did what first. Because no matter how I add up that arithmetic, we're still 100 years behind. And that's the reality of what we're doing when it comes to reconciliation and indigenization. So let's not rest on our laurels. We have a lot more work to do. I still have some trouble accepting some forms of reconciliation because I know that they're based on tokenism and paternalism. And that is the only wrong way to do it. There's no book on this. There's no great writers that'll say a certain segment of society in Canada have been put under a microscope, amongst other things, for the last 150 years. Out of those, in that 150 years, 5,000 never made it home. Those are the missing children and unmarked graves. So, when we talk about indigenization, when we talk about reconciliation, make sure it's being done for the same reason, for the good reasons. Explore your spirit, meet your spirit. Your spirit will tell you if you're doing right or if you're doing wrong, and if you're doing it based on tokenism and paternalism. I just want to talk a little bit to my people who are in the room. I was one of the renegades of the streets of Saskatoon and the youth movement that went on when I got out of residential school back in 1970, 1971, 1972, 1973, 1974, 1975. And I remember Rodney Sunias. I remember the late Val Night Traveler, who were students at this university, coming to LeBret to talk to the grades 11s and 12s about starting an SRC. And if it wasn't for those two Indigenous men, they were talking about what I was always thinking about. Why is everybody doing everything for us? We can do this ourselves. So now you fast forward to what we have here. In that renegade years from 1970 to 1978, 1980, I was slowly coming to my senses, even though I was still scared of university and post-secondary education. I started observing Cecil King. I started observing Carol Sanderson. I started observing John MacLeod. I started observing Ida MacLeod. And I seen how hard they fought to get the ISWEP program in place. I seen how hard they fought to get the ITEP program in place. I seen how hard they fought to put the SUNTEP program in place. The Native Law Center. In those days, racism was acceptable in this province. I experienced it every game as an athlete, as the only First Nations person on a team and the only First Nations person in the league. Then I'd go to work and I'd see these people fighting for these institutions that are on our campus. And it's important that my people study our history as it relates to this university, as it relates on Treaty 6 territory land, homeland of the Métis land, that you have a choice to come here. You have a choice to attend school or work here. You're not being picked up the same as many of us, Louise and I and a few others, who were picked up, taken away. We had no choice. So when my people, young adults, don't do their homework in regards to the legacy of our people in building this institution to be where we are today, you don't only hurt the institution, you hurt all the old people like me. Because I supported those people to fight those battles. And when my daughter graduated here as a nurse, it brought tears to my eyes. The fight was worth it. So I'm talking to my young people today. If you're not happy here, move on, come back when you're ready. But what I heard the students talk about today, Indigenous students, there's a lot of hurt out there. There's a lot of hurt, lack of understanding, trying to regain, finding out who we are. And you all got here overcoming poverty. You all got here because your mums, your dads, your mushrooms, your kokums, your aunties and your uncles wanted the best for you. And they want you to come here and come home the best you can be. Not to come here and kick the heck out of the institution, your professors kick the hell out of each other. That's not what this institution is about. If we're going to indigenize, let's practice our ways, our values of respect, kindness, sharing. On and on the list goes. And never forget love. So, I'm sure my 10 minutes is up. However, I'm not giving anybody hell. Sometimes it's important for all of us, including Eugene R Kent, and I probably need it more than anybody else, to press the reset button and look forward to what's coming down, what's coming up, and have fun with it. That's what the calls to action are about. They're not to infringe on white privilege or settler privilege. They're not meant to infringe on settler fragility. Because all of you in here today felt a level of pain, awkward pain, whether you be Indigenous or not. And that's how we learn. That's how the old people taught us to learn. When you feel something, you will not forget it, you will learn from it. And as hurt, as wounded as you may have been today, believe me, within 4 days, that hurt and pain will be gone, but the message will stay with you. It's been a great honor for me to share these thoughts with you. As usual, I mean to hurt no one, but I also apologize to no one. Thank you very much. Hi, hi.
Okay. Not very tall. Thank you so much, Eugene, for your profound message. There's a book called The Heart of Change, and it's written by Cotter and Cohen. And in my studies, I've looked at leadership and policy development and change theory and practice, all with the idea of supporting and impact positive change wherever I'm at. And in this particular book, the motto or the theme of the book is we see, we feel, we change. So some of the it's important to have intellectual conversations and to acquire knowledge, but it's also important to connect that knowledge to our heart. So I think we see, we feel, we change. Once we make that connection, then I think there will be some more significant shifts. And I think those shifts have to happen with each one of us first of all. And then once we come together, in diverse groups like you had today, we can talk about how we move forward together. So at this point, I would like to acknowledge one person who's really supported this process, and that's Danette Stang. Where is Danette? She's over here. Danette has worked tirelessly on the details of the day, and she's been someone that we've connected with directly, and she's connected with us and asked good questions, and so ensured that the facilitators, the thought leaders from each of the conversation circles were well taken care of. So with Danette, I'd like to just thank you for Okay, so, and I'd also like to ask our elder, Louise Half, if she could close the conference, the forum, with a prayer. And after that, we will, I'll ask, we'll have Chris Scribe. I'm not sure if he's here yet. Okay. Okay, we're actually doing good for time, so that's good. That's good. Okay, maybe a little bit more. Okay, yeah. So let's practice some of the important language or some of the important concepts that are important. Well, that have emphasized the spirit of, first of all, the university plan, and that's Niganitan Manachitwanak. Niganitan Manachitwanak. So that's let us lead with respect. And so that's an invitation. And a group of elders and traditional knowledge keepers and language keepers, and actually Randy Morin was a part of that group. They wrestled with concepts and that are embedded within the university plan. They not only translated the principles of some of the university's processes, but into Cree and Michif, but they also connected stories to them, indigenous thought to those particular concepts. In that process, in that time of translating the principles, this phrase emerged, and so that was essentially the spirit of the university plan itself. And a few weeks ago, at the end of August, there was a naming ceremony for the university plan, and we had Bob Badger who conducted the ceremony. So officially, the university plan is named Niganitan Manachitwanak. Once again, Niganitan, that's leading, right? Niganitan Manachitwanak. Niganitan Manachitwanak. Yeah, so that's the name of our university plan. And today, we have another new word. And this is going to be the name of our internal reconciliation forum from now on, and gifted to us by Randy Morin. And I loved the story that he shared this morning. So Mamawi Asotitan. I'm looking over at, okay, Mamawi Asotitan. Let us cross this together. Mamawi Asotitan. Yeah, Mamawi Asotitan. So as Randy mentioned this morning, it does take practice. And it takes intentionality to learn some of these words that you're going to be seeing across campus from now on, because I think even with the architecture and names of places and spaces, we're gonna be recognizing Indigenous peoples in those ways also. There's a lot of, in relation to the university plan, which is going to be officially launched in the first week of October, or actually I think that's October 10th. We get to basically start talking about the strategies that are connected to the plan. So I encourage you to look online and seek out the university plan. Another a gathering that I'd like to bring to your attention is on October 11th. And so this is a gathering of Indigenous faculty and staff, and it is out at Waniskewin. And so this is an opportunity for Indigenous faculty and staff from all disciplines, from all units to come together and network. And not only network, as it's not just connecting, as we heard today, it's building relationships, right? And so it's having, again, those essential dialogues that will help us feel supported. And also those conversations that will help us identify some of the possibilities the solutions, the strategies that will also help us move the needle in some of our areas, some of our units, some of our colleges. So that is online, and I'd like to recognize Liz Durrett and also Stryker Calvaz, who've helped to organize that particular event, and they do have a committee also. Lastly, I would like to acknowledge all of the thought leaders that committed their whole day to sharing, to leading us through these discussions in these particular theme areas. And with that, I would like, if we have all of them here, for them to stand up. I know we've had Louise, and they were talking about ally relations, and we had Maggie and Jairus, and I know Maggie's she's on her way to teaching a class. Oh no, Maggie's here. So thank you, Maggie. Yes, and we've also, there was Verna, and there was Verna is teaching a class. I think she's gone, and we also have our Candace, and the students, because they were. Yeah. So thank you for our thought leaders and facilitators. Mm-hmm. What we will do is over the next year and the next few years is we will be looking at different ways to come together and to have some of these conversations. The Office of Indigenous Engagement, we're also embarking on an Indigenous strategic process. So we will be having an elder summit here on November 1st, and we'll be asking elders about their thoughts and perspectives and their advice for the university. We'll be having an internal and external forum and consulting with organizations outside of campus. Again, just to really learn some of their perspectives on the university, and also how we can move forward. And what, just again, what are some challenges? What are some strategies? And in January, we're going to be working with the students, bringing students together, Indigenous students, to talk about, again, just consulting and consulting with the students on just questions related to the Indigenous strategy, right? So the Indigenous strategy, along with the university plan, will support and provide guidance to the colleges, to all units, and senior administration, So I'm not sure where we're at, but I will ask Louise to come up and provide us with a closing prayer, and then we'll bring Chris Scribe in. Okay. Gitchamigwich, Elder Louise. You always have a way of touching each one of us and providing for us just the right words. And thank you for that. Remember that today, in each one of these theme areas, that it's just the tip of the iceberg. And when I was talking with the thought leaders, they said this is, a lifetime of research and exploring these areas. So I encourage you to begin the exploration. And I also like to bring to attention one last thing, and this is in response to Louise's comments and Eugene R Kent, is the importance of honoring all the people that have worked hard for us to be here today. And so we've engaged in a tunnel project. It's not a very glamorous name, and that will probably change over time. But essentially, there was one day that Patty and Tony and I are walking to an event from Gordon Oaks through to Health Sciences, and just made the comment that, we got to claim this tunnel. And so basically that really led to exploring the history of Indigenous involvement and contribution since 1909 within the University of Saskatchewan. So we have a committee now, and we've had people do that investigation. And so essentially what we're going to do is there will be a timeline mural painted within that tunnel, and Christy Belcourt has agreed to start off the process. So it'll be a series of artists that will capture again the significant contribution of Indigenous peoples to the University of Saskatchewan. The first, it goes right back to 1909. On the Board of Governors was a Métis man from PA. Right, and so that just kind of continues all the way up to where we're at today. So at this time, I would like to introduce Chris Scribe to the stage, and Chris is the director of ITEP, and we're just very fortunate to have him as leader. And here we go. Thank you, Chris.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, I'm loud. I'm a big mouth. They turned my mic down actually after I went up there. Supposed to laugh. That's a joke. All right. So on this program here, Candace had asked just a call out to try come forward and to bring some ideas for a round dance and bring some good feelings. And on the agenda, they put Chris Scribe dance. So, here I am. I'm ready. I'm ready. Oh, and they got some singers. Just all of us gonna go. No, that's not what's gonna happen. And then tansa gumagante Chris Scribe na tsaya san kana seo si piochinia. How konabi toga heamani amachiabi. Hogo akpa gechetaya taihibi. I'm very proud of our people and the resilience that we exude every single day, and the successes that we had. And I felt the energy through these walls as we were getting ready from the conversations from Eugene and Louise here earlier. And when Candace had come forward, she wanted a round dance. We do these dances and we do these things, and it's really important that I share the ideas behind what we're going to share with you today to close this off. Today has been a heavy day for all of you. I assume that you're carrying a lot of that on our shoulders, on your shoulders. And part of the conversation and part of what we wanted to do and wanted to share is we wanted to share the power and the spirit of who we are. And one of those things and one of those teachings that come with that is the power of one of our dances. Now, we have many dances in our culture, in our powwow culture. We have many ways in which we exude this powwow lifestyle and sharing that. And you go to events and people put forward these dance performances. They come out there and they dance, and an MC talks about it and shares a little bit about it. We wanted to do something special here today because we know why we gathered. So we're going to call forward our dancers that are out there to make their way into the front. And as they're making their way, you can hear the spirit of our ancestors coming forward. You can see the beauty of our Indigenous women as they make their way forward here. We have, throughout time, have been labeled as resilient people. And we are resilient for one single purpose. And the purpose of our resiliency is our women. They have carried us through. They have done amazing things to maintain our identity, our culture, and who we are. Many, over 100 years ago, a father was looking down at his daughter who was ill. There was no hope for this young girl to live. And we have so much love and kindness for our children. Imagine how that felt at that time for that father and what he was looking at in his daughter and wanting to help her and wanting to uplift her again to a healthy way. So he did what we've always done before colonization, before the oppression of our people, before residential schools. He went out and he prayed, and he asked the Mamutawi Mau, he asked the Creator to help his daughter. And in his prayers and in this way of being pitiful and in this way of wanting and his love for his daughter, he prayed with all his heart and soul and body and mind. And they granted him a vision of something beautiful. And they granted this man this vision of this dance that you see here. It comes from our relatives, Ojibwe people. And they instructed this man on how this dress was to be made and how the songs were to be sung. And they said, when you put that on, it's going to heal your daughter. It's going to heal your people. So when Candace asked us to come forward to put together a dance performance for this, I figured that this was a very fitting way to share with you the beauty of our women, of our mothers, and also this healing dance to uplift you as you go forward. And each of these women that are standing here before you, they are role models in our community. They are in achieving higher education in this university. All of them are students here. All of them are influential in their community, and they maintain this culture and this way of life. So they're going to dance for you 2 songs. Then we're going to go into a round dance later on. So I hope you enjoy it. If you feel like tapping your foot, that's okay. You know, to the non-Indigenous relatives, it's okay if you're offbeat. You know, we're not going to see you tapping your foot. So we're going to go with our first song here. We're going to go for 2 starts of a straight jingle dress song. So anytime you're ready, boys. I don't know if the mic's, oh, there we go. Yeah, they're shutting me down. All right. Now we have a little bit of time here. Give them a little bit of a breather, you know. Yeah, while they're getting prepared and getting ready. But you witnessed here a dance, a straight jingle dress dance song. The song that we're going to be singing next is what's called a side step. So the side step is the song that's associated with this dance. That's the song that was given to this dance and these people at this time. And this song here was the one that was sang for the people to uplift and to heal. This is the one where the young girl who was sick put on this jingle dress, started dancing to this. And by the end of her dancing, she was healed. That's the power of what we have. And when people label and they call us resilient, we're resilient because of that faith. We're resilient because of that understanding that we're more than just the perceptions of us, that we have a connection, a deeper connection, and it stems from a lot of things, and in particular this dance. So the dance that we're going to share here, this sidestep, I want you to think about it. I want you to just be part of it and witness of it. And allow it to, if you can, in some way, shape, or form. If you feel like dancing, don't. Hey, no, just kidding. You don't have. But I want you to just witness this. And I want you to think about not only that little girl, but I want you to think about yourselves and the stuff you're carrying here today. And allow them to take that. Allow them to help you deal with it and process it in a good way. So we're going to go over here. And these ladies, I'm going to just introduce them here before they go because they're going to leave after this. But standing here first is Dabney Warren. So she's a staff member and also a graduate student in the College of Education. Let's give Dabney a big round of applause. Next to Dabney is Taylor Finde. And Taylor is from the Sweetgrass First Nation. And she's also a student in the college, ITEP student. And she's in the College of Education. Let's give Taylor a big round of applause. Next to Taylor, we have Sarina Bull. And Sarina Bull is also, again, an ITEP student. And she's over here and representing her nation, the Cree Nation of Red Pheasant. Let's give her a round of applause. And on the far right over there on your left, we have Kunis Watani, and she's over here. She's representing the ITEP program. And can you tell I'm the ITEP director because everybody's ITEP? But she's also representing the ITEP program, and she's representing her community of Red Pheasant as well. Let's give her a round of applause. All right, we're going to turn it over to our singers. They're going to sing that wicked round dance and have a sidestep song. All right. All right, there we go. I'll give them one more. Yeah. All right, they're leaving. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Am I still on there? No? I'm super loud. I don't need a mic, so I can actually go without it. There we go. All right, so again, you had a super long day. These dancers here are going to exit the stage, and we have our singers here. And they're going to sing. They're going to close off our day. We're going to close off our way together. We had an amazing day together, and from all accounts, some really good conversations. And this is all of us to be involved and all of us to work in this together. You know, when we talk about healing and thinking these things, this is something that we need to acknowledge truth amongst all of us. And the truth here, and the reason why we're going to do a round dance, is the truth is that we need all people to understand, why we're in the situation that we're in. And this is our opportunity to do that. So we're going to sing a few round dance songs. We're going to ask all of our people who've been sitting in circles all day and talking and crying and laughing, we're going to ask you to get up. We're going to ask you to get in a circle. We're going to ask you to get ready to dance. Stretch your left hip, get your side shuffle ready to go. We're going to get that going. We're going to all dance together. So however you go, just make yourselves known. This is their opportunity for all of you to dance. The round dance for us in this territory is one of our original dances. It's a dance where we used to celebrate. We come together for all purposes of celebration, for all purposes of ceremony. Oh, you don't have to be a complete circle. You can just go where you are and start dancing from there. Make sure you have someone on the end that's been to a round dance before. Yeah. So you're going to go clockwise as you go around the circle here. I know Dirk DeBoer is a little bit intimidating, but you can hold his hand. It's okay. Yeah, we'll get yeah. So we're all getting together to do this dance. So we're going to sing a couple songs. We have world champion, world-class singers here. As you notice, they're not the best. And I could have brought in the B crew, and you guys wouldn't have known the difference. But we brought in these singers here to share some amazing round dance songs with you. So with that, we're going to turn it over to them. Make your way around, have fun. It's a side shuffle. That's what you're going to do. So all right, singers, take it away. All right. Okay, don't leave yet. Yeah, your hips or your right leg's probably sore a little bit. Too bad, You got another 7 song. No, just kidding. We got just a couple songs together that we want to do, but while we're sitting here, as we dance, we do this all winter long. Every weekend there's multiple round dances that happen. And we get together for all occasions, birthdays, we get together for memorials, we get together to celebrate graduations, we get together for all beautiful things that happen in our lives and in our ceremonial way. And this round dance is what brings our people together in the winter time. And we're really, really grateful that we get an opportunity to share with each and every one of you. But just so that you understand, there's the how important this is. During Christmas time, when the kids get let off school, there's a series of round dances that happen over a span of 13 days, where there's a round dance every night. Now, so the round dance starts at 7 p.m. and they don't end until 6 a.m. So they go all night long in all communities. So we do that, and there's only been 4 people who have survived all 13 nights, and they're all standing up here, and they've done that trail. But I want to introduce them before they sing. our next song on our far left here, in the beautiful braided hair. Never see him as fuzzy braids. He's always got slick, cool braids. This is Mr. TJ Warren. Let's give him a round of applause. TJ is a ITEP student. He's doing his internship, and he's Southern Dene, and we're really happy that he's here. Right behind us, over here, and my son, the tall. Guess which one's my son? My brother, the other fair Indian guy. But anyways, this is Hunter Blasingame, and Hunter Blasingame is a world champion, world-renowned singer, and he's here representing the Cheyenne people from Lame Deer. And we're really happy that he came and here and to sing with us. Let's give him a round of applause. Hiding behind me here, we have also from representing the ITEP program in Pelican Lake, we have Lyndon Chamakis, a very well-renowned family in terms of round dance culture and singing, and also Cree language. Let's give Lyndon a big round of applause. On the end over here, we have another ITEP student, and he's over here. His name is Buddy Morin. He's from the Big River Cree Nation, and he's also an ITEP student, and we're very honored to have them represent. Let's give them a round of applause. Now, all of us have had a very, very long day, and we want to allow you some time to reflect on today. And we want to end with our song here for all of you to dance together. And it's really, really fitting that we end this way as a round dance, because you can see everybody coming together in a good way, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, from all levels and all places in this university and beyond. And I want to say thank you to all of you for participating and sticking it out all day. I know how hard it is. And I want to say thank you to all of you for doing that. And I want you to just enjoy this time together. Enjoy this time dancing. And in the winter time, if you so feel the urge, there's a round dance every weekend in our community, and you're all welcome to attend those, and you're all welcome to be a part of it. So with that, I'm going to turn it over one more time to our singers. I'm going to ask us all to dance again in the best way that we know how, and let's have some fun. All right. All right. Okay, we're done. I want to say thank you to everybody here for participating in the best way. There's not one chair that was somebody sitting. Would have been odd and awkward for that one person. But I want to say thank you to everybody for dancing. Have a wonderful evening. And thank you again from all of us here at ITEP in our program. And also on behalf of our students, hi, and have a good evening.